Welcome to Crime Era channel, where every crime tells a story, the darkest secrets of crime are uncovered and the hidden truths of criminal underworlds come to light. In the late 1990s, a new kind of movement began to take shape, one that promised not salvation, but self-mastery. Its founder called it NXIVM, a philosophy, a community, and for many, a chance to reinvent themselves. The world was hungry for guidance. Seminars, mentorship, personal growth, these words sounded safe, even noble. Behind bright hotel conference lighting and motivational mantras, NXIVM sold not fear, but confidence. And confidence was currency. People came seeking focus, clarity, empowerment. Few imagined they were stepping into a story that would one day define how trust can turn to control. Keith Raniere introduced himself not as a preacher, but as a thinker. He spoke softly, logically, presenting transformation as a science. He wore humility like armor. Jeans, sneakers, easy laughter. He told his students that limitation was illusion, that obedience to one's higher purpose meant true freedom. He attracted professionals, actors, entrepreneurs, the ambitious and the uncertain alike. To them, Raniere was not a cult leader. He was a coach, and success was the sermon. NXIVM offered structured courses under the banner of executive success programs. Modules taught emotional intelligence, accountability, the art of overcoming fear. Participants wore color-coded sashes marking rank, symbols of growth, of belonging. The design was deliberate, clear steps, measurable goals, community validation. Every level deeper felt like progress, even as it tightened the circle. Within NXIVM's polished framework, smaller subgroups formed, study pods, mentorship teams, exclusive retreats. Advancement required loyalty, time, and money. Members felt chosen. Raniere encouraged that feeling, framing it as proof of potential. Language shifted subtly, commitment replaced question. Ethics replaced obedience. What began as self-help started to resemble surrender, but softly, almost invisibly. For many followers, NXIVM felt revolutionary. They woke early, journaled intentions, celebrated vulnerability. Bonds deepened. Doubt was reframed as weakness to overcome. Raniere spoke of a global mission to end exploitation, to raise human consciousness. Ironically, those words would one day echo in courtrooms as evidence of the opposite. But in the moment, it felt like destiny. Every student wanted to be part of something larger, something pure. Charisma is mathematics of emotion, equal parts confidence and empathy. Raniere solved it perfectly. He listened more than he spoke, appearing thoughtful, almost shy. He remembered birthdays, dreams, fears. That attention bound people closer than commands ever could. Within NXIVM's structure, proximity to him was privilege. To sit near the founder was to sit near the flame of enlightenment itself. Many would do anything to keep that seat. As months turned into years, NXIVM's teachings deepened and darkened. Accountability sessions became confessions. Pledges of honesty became tools of leverage. Criticism was reframed as negativity. Leaving was labeled self-betrayal. The system that once taught empowerment now demanded submission, but couched in language of evolution. No one noticed where the line had been crossed, until it was far behind them. Whispers began to escape the walls of the organization. Former members spoke quietly about manipulation, exhaustion, blurred boundaries. Journalists started to listen. Investigators started to ask questions. Inside, Raniere doubled down, insisting that persecution always followed great ideas. History, he said, proved that visionaries were never understood in their time. But the outside world was beginning to understand far too well. By the late 2010s, NXIVM's image of self-help sophistication began to unravel. Public accusations surfaced, stories of coercion, secrecy, abuse of power. Headlines replaced brochures. The brand that had promised clarity became synonymous with control. For many, it was the shock of realizing how easily intelligence and good intent could be weaponized. For survivors, it was the painful work of reclaiming language once used to bind them. In 2018, federal charges marked the end of NXIVM's facade. Courtrooms replaced classrooms. Witnesses replaced students. The organization that had started with the language of empowerment was now cited as a case study in manipulation. The fall was swift, public, and irreversible. Yet even in collapse, NXIVM forced a cultural reckoning about belief, belonging, and the thin line between mentorship and control. Fade to black. The hum of applause from old seminars lingers like an echo of something once bright, now hollow. Behind NXIVM's public courses, another layer had formed, private, hidden, and built on fear disguised as devotion. Raniere called it an experiment in trust. He told select women they were chosen for their strength, to embody a new standard of loyalty. They were told this secret group would change the world. In truth, it changed them. Members gave what they believed were tokens of commitment, secrets, photos, letters, collateral, Raniere called it. Promises sealed not by belief, but by blackmail. Each new confession tightened the circle until freedom became impossible without destruction. In candlelit rooms, rituals blurred into obedience. Women were told they were warriors of discipline, shedding ego and weakness. The teachings spoke of honor. The reality was ownership. They called him vanguard. They called themselves slaves. And somehow, within NXIVM's warped logic, those words were meant to sound empowering. The line between spiritual testing and exploitation vanished, replaced by a hierarchy built on fear, loyalty, and silence. Not everyone believed. Inside NXIVM, unease spread quietly, in looks and half-spoken sentences. A few members began keeping journals, private records of what no one dared to say aloud. When they finally left, those notes became lifelines, evidence, truth preserved in ink. Outside, journalists began connecting the dots. Each testimony revealed another piece of the puzzle, and each piece pointed toward Raniere. In 2017, investigative reporters started asking questions NXIVM could no longer deflect. Headlines turned from admiration to suspicion. Former members came forward, trembling but resolute, describing the manipulation they once called mentorship. The public listened in disbelief. How could people so intelligent, so rational, fall under such control? The answer lay not in weakness, but in the careful architecture of trust that NXIVM built, and then betrayed. The New York Times piece landed like a thunderclap. Suddenly, NXIVM's polished seminars became synonymous with scandal. Images of empowerment seminars collided with testimonies of degradation. Each revelation ignited more courage. More women spoke. More evidence surfaced. The light was finally piercing the carefully constructed darkness. Raniere fled to Mexico, but truth, as always, travels faster than escape. In a quiet villa near Puerto Vallarta, federal agents moved in. The man once praised as a visionary was taken away in handcuffs. His calm expression never wavered, as though he still believed the narrative he had written for himself. His followers watched in silence, disbelief dissolving into shock. For years, he had promised transcendence. Now, he faced the weight of the real world. Laws, witnesses, consequences. The courtroom became the new stage. Former members, now survivors, took the stand. They spoke with trembling honesty about manipulation, exhaustion, psychological control. Words like branding, collateral, and obedience filled the air, words that once lived in secrecy now echoed through microphones and headlines. The prosecution painted a portrait of systematic abuse disguised as empowerment. The defense called it voluntary. The jury called it criminal. When the verdict came, it was both end and beginning. Keith Raniere, found guilty on all major counts. A movement that promised freedom had enslaved its own followers, and now its architect would face life behind bars. But the sentence couldn't erase the trauma or the years stolen. Healing, survivors said, was the real verdict, one they would have to deliver for themselves, day by day. NXIVMs remained scattered, websites shuttered, logos erased. But echoes lingered. How could a promise of empowerment twist into a machine of exploitation? Experts dissected the psychology. Charisma weaponized, trust commodified, idealism corrupted. Yet, beyond the analysis, lay a deeper truth, that the human need to belong can sometimes blind us to the cost of that belonging. The same hunger that builds communities can, in the wrong hands, destroy them. Fade in, an empty seminar hall. Rows of chairs, silent. A projector flickers, the ghost of a presentation once meant to change lives. NXIVM's story is not about one man nor one group. It's a mirror, reflecting how manipulation wears the mask of meaning, how power hides behind the promise of purpose. But it also reflects resilience. Because from the ashes of NXIVM rose voices, strong, unbroken, and louder than fear. The cult is gone. The lesson remains. When someone claims to have all the answers, it's time to start asking questions. Fade out. A single piano note echoes, quiet, final, and free.